In the heart of a lush African village, surrounded by towering baobab trees and the gentle hum of wildlife, there lived a young couple named Akanji and Amina. Akanji was a strong and hardworking farmer, admired by all who knew him, while Amina was a woman of grace and kindness, beloved by the entire village. Despite their deep love for each other, their joy was overshadowed by one sorrow. They had been married for many years, yet Amina remained childless. The villagers whispered behind their backs, casting suspicious glances at Amina, wondering why she had not yet born a child. But there was one person who harbored no sympathy for Amina, Akanji's mother, Mama Akanji. Mama Akanji was a woman of stern demeanor and sharp tongue, feared by many for her domineering presence. She had long yearned for grandchildren to carry on the family lineage, and Amina's barrenness was a thorn in her side. Unbeknownst to anyone, Mama Akanji bore a secret burden that weighed heavily upon her soul. Before Akanji was born, she had made a solemn promise to the deity of their land, Mayokom, the god of fertility and prosperity. In exchange for the gift of a son, Mama Akanji had vowed to offer the firstborn child as a sacrifice to Mayokom. Years passed, and Mama Akanji's promise remained unfulfilled. She prayed fervently to Mayokom, beseeching him to bless Amina with a child so that she could uphold her end of the bargain. But as the years went by and Amina's womb remained empty, Mama Akanji's desperation turned to resentment. One moonlit night, as the village lay shrouded in darkness, Mama Akanji slipped away from her hut and made her way to the sacred grove where the shrine to Mayokom stood. With trembling hands, she knelt before the ancient altar and poured out her heart in prayer. Mayokom, mighty god of fertility, she pleaded, her voice quivering with emotion. I have kept my promise to you, yet you have not granted me the gift of a grandchild. What more must I do to fulfill my vow? But Mayokom remained silent, his presence shrouded in mystery. Desperate for answers, Mama Akanji made a fateful decision. She would take matters into her own hands and ensure that Amina bore a child, no matter the cost. Under the cover of darkness, Mama Akanji sought out the village witch doctor, a mysterious figure known for his potent potions and dark magic. She made a pact with him, exchanging her soul for a potion that would ensure Amina's fertility. Armed with the potion, Mama Akanji returned to the village and tricked Amina into consuming it, disguising it as a harmless herbal remedy. And soon, Amina's belly began to swell with life, her once barren womb now quickened by the dark magic of the potion. The villagers rejoiced at the news of Amina's pregnancy, showering her with blessings and congratulations. But Mama Akanji's heart was heavy with guilt, knowing the dark secret that lay hidden beneath the surface. As the months passed and Amina's due date drew near, Mama Akanji's anxiety grew with each passing day. She knew that Mayokom would soon come to claim his due, and she dreaded the moment when she would have to fulfill her promise. But fate had other plans in store, plans that would shake the very foundations of the village and test the bonds of family and love. As Amina's time to give birth approached, the village was alive with anticipation. The air was filled with the sweet scent of celebration as preparations were made for the arrival of the long-awaited child. But amidst the joyous atmosphere, Mama Akanji's heart was heavy with dread. On the night of the full moon, as the stars shimmered in the velvet sky, Amina went into labor. The village midwife was summoned, and the women of the village gathered around to offer their support and prayers. As Amina labored, Mama Akanji paced anxiously outside the hut, her mind consumed with guilt and fear. She knew that Mayokom would soon come to claim his due, and she dreaded the moment when she would have to face the consequences of her actions. Suddenly, a piercing cry shattered the stillness of the night, and the village erupted into cheers. Amina had given birth to a healthy baby boy, his cries echoing like music in the ears of the villagers. But amidst the celebrations, a shadow fell over Mama Akanji's heart. She knew that Mayokom's demand had not been fulfilled, and she feared the wrath of the deity whose trust she had betrayed. As the days turned into weeks, Mama Akanji watched over the newborn child with a mixture of love and trepidation. She could not shake the feeling that Mayokom's presence lingered nearby, waiting patiently for his due to be paid. One evening, as Mama Akanji sat by the fire, cradling the baby in her arms, a strange sensation washed over her. She felt a chill in the air, and the flames of the fire flickered ominously as if stirred by an unseen force. And then, a voice whispered in her ear, low and menacing. You have failed to uphold your promise, Mama Akanji, it hissed, sending shivers down her spine. The debt must be paid. Mama Akanji's heart pounded with fear as she realized that Mayokam had come to claim his sacrifice. She knew that she could not escape the consequences of her actions, no matter how hard she tried to deny them. Desperate to protect her grandson, Mama Akanji made a bold decision. She would flee the village under the cover of darkness, taking the baby with her and seeking refuge in the distant lands beyond the reach of Mayokam's wrath. Gathering her courage, Mama Akanji slipped out of the village under the cover of night, her heart heavy with sorrow and regret. She knew that she was leaving behind everything she had ever known, but she also knew that it was the only way to protect the child from the fate that awaited him. As she disappeared into the darkness, Mama Akanji vowed to do whatever it took to keep her grandson safe, even if it meant sacrificing her own life in the process. But little did she know that Mayokam's reach extended far beyond the borders of the village, and that the consequences of her actions would haunt her for the rest of her days. As Mama Akanji journeyed into the unknown with her grandson cradled in her arms, she felt the weight of her decision bearing down upon her like a heavy burden. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but she was determined to protect the child at all costs. For days, they traveled through dense forests and across vast plains, their footsteps muffled by the whispering grasses and the rustling leaves overhead. Mama Akanji kept a vigilant watch, wary of any signs of pursuit from Mayokam or his agents. At last, they reached a remote village nestled among the hills, far from the reach of the deity's wrath. Here, Mama Akanji hoped to find sanctuary for herself and her grandson, a place where they could live in peace away from the shadows of their past. But as they settled into their new home, Mama Akanji's fears continued to gnaw at her heart. She knew that Mayokam would not rest until his demand was met, and she dreaded the day when he would come to claim his sacrifice. Despite her best efforts to keep her grandson safe, Mama Akanji could not escape the feeling that they were being watched. Strange omens appeared in the sky, and eerie whispers echoed through the night, filling her dreams with visions of doom and despair. Determined to protect the child from the fate that awaited him, Mama Akanji sought the guidance of the village elder, a wise old woman named Mami Nana. Mami Nana listened intently as Mama Akanji poured out her heart, her eyes filled with compassion and understanding. "My child," Mami Nana said gently, "you cannot outrun destiny. Mayokam's demand must be fulfilled, lest his wrath consume us all." Mama Akanji's heart sank at the elder's words, for she knew that she could not deny the deity's will forever. But still, she clung to the hope that there might be another way, a way to protect her grandson without sacrificing his life. Together, Mama Akanji and Mami Nana devised a plan to appease Mayokam and spare the child from his fate. They would offer a different sacrifice in his place, a sacrifice that would satisfy the deity's thirst for blood without claiming the life of an innocent child. With heavy hearts, they set about gathering the necessary ingredients for the ritual, sacred herbs, rare incense, and the blood of a white dove. As they prepared for the ceremony, a sense of foreboding hung in the air, casting a pall over the village. At last, the day of the ritual arrived, and the villagers gathered in the sacred grove to witness the offering to Mayokam. Mama Akanji stood before the altar, her hands trembling as she prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice. With a steady hand, she drew a knife across her palm, allowing her blood to mingle with the other offerings on the altar. And as the incense filled the air with its sweet fragrance, she whispered a prayer to Mayokam, begging for his mercy and forgiveness. For a moment, there was silence, broken only by the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. And then, a voice spoke from the depths of the forest, low and rumbling like distant thunder. "You have shown courage and wisdom, Mama Akanji," it said, echoing through the grove. "Your sacrifice has been accepted, and your grandson shall be spared." Tears of relief streamed down Mama Akanji's cheeks as she knelt before the altar, her heart overflowing with gratitude. She had faced her fears and emerged victorious, protecting her grandson from the fate that had threatened to consume him. As the villagers rejoiced and celebrated the newfound peace, Mama Akanji knew that she had finally fulfilled her promise to Mayokam. And though the scars of her past would always linger, she took comfort in the knowledge that her grandson was safe and free to live a life of happiness and fulfillment. And so, in the heart of a remote African village, a grandmother's love had triumphed over darkness, proving that even the darkest of shadows could be dispelled by the light of love and sacrifice.